Hello class, in this video I'll be showing you how to use the value of one trigonometric function to find the other 5. Let's begin. Use definitions or identities to find the exact value of the remaining trigonometric functions of the acute angle theta. Now I didn't mention this in the previous video when you were given 2 trig identities. So I'm going to mention this now. When an angle is acute, that means the angle is less than 90 degrees. So all trig functions are positive. So what we're given that the cosecant of theta is equal to 2. And using the reciprocal identity, we know that the cosecant of theta is equal to 1 divided by sine of theta. So that implies that 2 is equal to 1 divided by sine theta. So that implies that sine of theta is equal to 1/2. Now that we have sine of theta, we can use that to find the cosine of theta. And we can do that by using one of the Pythagorean identities. More specifically, we can use sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. Substituting 1/2 in for sine, you have this. And isolating the cosine squared will give you this. Now, since theta is acute, when we take the square root of each side, we're not going to worry about the negative solution. We're only going to consider the positive solution. So technically there would be a plus minus here. However, since theta is acute, we don't need the minus sign. And this reduces to the square root of 3 divided by the square root of 4, which is the square root of 3 divided by 2. So cosine of theta is equal to the square root of 3 divided by 2. Now that we have cosine of theta, we can find secant of theta. And remember that secant of theta is the reciprocal of cosine. So secant of theta is equal to 2 divided by the square root of 3. And rationalizing the denominator, that is the secant of theta. And now all that's left is tangent and cotangent. We can use cosecant theta is equal to 2 to find cotangent using a Pythagorean identity. However, I'm just going to use the fact that cotangent is cosine divided by sine to find the cotangent. So we want cotangent of theta, which is equal to cosine of theta divided by sine of theta. And that's equal to the square root of 3. So cotangent of theta is equal to the square root of 3. Tangent of theta is the reciprocal of cotangent. So that would be 1 divided by the square root of 3. And when you rationalize the denominator, that'll be the square root of 3 divided by 3. So tangent of theta is equal to the square root of 3 divided by 3. And there are the rest of the trig functions. You have sine of theta is a half. Cosine theta is square root of 3 divided by 2. Secant theta is 2 times the square root of 3 divided by 3. Cotangent of theta is the square root of 3. And the tangent of theta is the square root of 3 divided by 3.